Hi everybody, Giselle Grenier here from artplace.ca. For today's Doug 2014 project, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I chose a background. I'm getting close to the end of the series, and the backgrounds that are left are either ones that I don't want to change or ones that don't inspire me at all. And this is one of them. Now, when I look at this now, I can sort of see, it looks like a little duck here. This looks like a little puppy dog. This looks like an eagle carrying something, I don't know. But anyways, what I thought I'd do instead is to basically cover this up and utilize the texture to create a portrait of a man. Now, this is a print of one that I did, and you can see all the texture on here. See all that texture? So we're going to use that for this. The challenge is that the texture of this print goes a certain way, and this we're basically stuck the way it is. Now, the video for this particular background is on my blog, so you're free to go and watch it. And you can see that the texture crackle here turned out really nice. It's got some colors on here. So we're going to turn this into something like this. Okay, we're completely freestyle. There is no line drawing. Okay, and because we're doing something very expressive, my goal is not to make this look exactly like this. I'm going to use this as a general shape. Now, I put my journal on the other side of the room. I have to come back get it. What we're going to do is we're going to do a sketch first. So you're going to need some drawing supplies. This is just my life drawing set, which has graphite charcoal sticks, graphite and charcoal pencils, and then 2 pastel pencils, which I'm going to be switching out to include the medium and hard charcoal pencils, because I'm not a fan of doing anything in pastel because I just don't like it. You're going to need a journal or a drawing pad. Now, because we're doing this full size, you can go with something a little bit bigger, but I always suggest having everything in a journal. That way you can keep notes. Keep a record of everything you do. And here's just some sketches that we have been doing. Okay, so we're going to turn to this page here. And let me just get myself set up here. Okay, I just have to move my brushes out of the way. We're going to go through a drawing stage and a painting stage, and everything that I end up using will be listed at the end of the video. Okay, so because I don't want, the actual photograph for this, the original photograph of the man, is on morguefile.com, morguefile.com. But what I will do is I will give you a copy of the print of a piece of artwork that I did, so you can use that as reference. So ideally, when doing painting people, I like to be at an easel, but the camera setup that I have doesn't really allow for that. I'll do it in graphite this time. So I got my 6B graphite pencil, and I'm going to turn this. So what I want to do is just get the general shape of what's going on, and he's not visible by any means. He's kind of hiding from everybody. So I'm just getting some general shapes and working fast. And just the indication of the nose, and then the mouth is very, very hidden. And what you want to do is do this, watch the video first and then do it. And everything here. Now I realize now I probably should have did this in charcoal. Because I can't get to, I would have to spend a lot of time blending with the graphite. And his face is not that long, but it's all in masses of dark. Okay, so there's one. Now I'm going to go to my charcoal soft pencil. I'm going to do another one. I'm going to turn my paper. Actually, I'm going to put this in front. That would be better. So we're going to just work the outlines. That's better. All we're looking at right now is outlines Then once we have the outlines established, then you can, now I'm going to work the face. Just shapes. We're not going for proportions or anything right now. And then once you get the shape, you get the rest in there. This is much better. And all this is in shadow. You can come back, and then with a charcoal pencil, you can then refine if you want. Myself, I would just keep doing a bunch of sketches until I found something that I liked. What I'm not able to capture with the charcoal pencil is the whites of the eyes, because the sticks are just too large for that. And everything here is all fabric. Very broody face. Okay. So something like that. Okay, but it's all very dark back here. And then this is just lighter. But this is just all black. Okay, so you get a couple of sketches going just to get a feel of what you're going for. And then you're going to use that sketch as a reference piece. So with this here, what I want to do is I'm just going to basically mask this in with something dark. And I'm going to use a long-handled Filbert for that. And I go in, we'll take, oh, and then for the paints, I guess I should tell you what I have here. I'm going to be using Royal Soft Grip brushes. I've got a variety of Filberts and Brights, and I've got a couple of Taklon rounds. And the paints, it's the Deco Art Traditions Artist Acrylic Paint. So I've got Phthalo Green on the blue side, Phthalo Blue, Permanent Alizarin Crimson, Paranone Orange, Yellow Oxide, Burnt Sienna, Raw Umber, and then White. The only one I'm not sure of is the Yellow Oxide. I was contemplating between that and Raw Sienna because I think this might be a bit too yellow. So we'll have to see. And over here I have some Extender. So I'm going to make a dark color. And we have to make quite a bit of this. Start off with equal parts of Phthalo Green and Ultramarine Blue. Phthalo Green and Permanent Alizarin Crimson. And I'm just going to hit that with a little bit of white. And I've got a no-stick craft mat underneath. Now the actual print is more on the brown side. I need to make a lot more paint than that. Oopsie, I made a mess. So a lot more on the brown side. And then when you run out of paint, pick up a little bit of a mixture of something else, just so you can vary the colors, so we get a nice background. This is all the person, so ideally what I should have done was actually make those colors variegated up here. And just do the solid down here. Pick up a little bit more water. Going to pick up now a little bit of raw umber. A little bit of water. It's very hot here. We're going to be into another day heat waves. And we need the water or the extender, because this is so textured, the paint has to go into the crevices. And don't use a good brush for this step. You'll end up ruining them. Now, if you're doing this on a book of background like I am, and the other side's important, then you can just protect the back side by putting like cover it up with wax paper or something like that. I'm just using a Ranger no stick mat, which is getting close to being on its last legs. For where the person is, where the man is, use whatever paint you have handy. Make sure you have full coverage. There we go. Now we're going to let this dry. This will take a little bit longer to dry than normal because we've got the texture to consider. I want that a little bit warmer. There we go. There we are. Okay. Now I'm going to let this dry completely before we go on to the next step. So we're ready. Now we could do a sketch freehand, but I want to show you something. I picked this up at Lee Valley, and it's I bought two sets because I wanted the points. It comes with one's a point and one has a piece of lead. And you put it on a yardstick and you can use that as a measuring tool. What I'm going to use as my constant will be the edge of this sheet here and the edge of the actual photograph. So if I put my pin here, I'm going to measure here, then I will go to the edge and go here. Because if I go here, I may miss some spots, but if I go right to the very edge here, then make my mark, then I know that it's going to be accurate. And it'll leave a little bit more space over here. So what I want to do is, first of all, just measure where her shoulder comes out. Okay, so again, you can freehand this if you want. And I'm just going to use burnt sienna for that. Make my mark. Then I have to measure the height. And I have an actual proper proportional divider for this, but it's too small. In oils, this is a little bit easier. So his shoulder comes out right from here. Okay, so I can come out that far. And how far does it come out this way? Right to about there. Okay, and then we can measure, let's see, we'll measure from here to here. And this is just plotting points on the very edge. This is a little bit loose. I'm going to tighten that up a little bit. There we go. And it is easier using this when you're standing up on an actual easel. Standing up working on an easel, I should say. Okay. And then the point at the very, very top, middle of his head, is right there. But is the height of the paper the same height as the surface? Probably not. No. So I have to choose to keep more stuff at the top or more stuff on the bottom. If this was going to be framed, you'd want to leave the air at the top. Okay, so that's where his head comes out. So it's going to be something like that. You can also use a soapstone pencil which thanks to Kitty Cat, she knocked on the floor so it broke. So I just gotta stick my tweezers inside, just push that out. Okay, so you can also use this to make your marks, like so. Okay, so we know that comes out this way, and then just going to double check the measurement here, right to here, so the hat comes out there. Now I'm finding this a little bit clunky because it's the ruler's hitting the side of my brush box. So you can also use something like this, and this is actually what I use for my regular drawings, and it does make it a lot easier to do your measurements. So the eye is right here. The width of the eye. Now, did I measure that right? No, right here. That was bang on. Okay. I'm just going to double check again. This is the lower lid. Then the upper lid. Okay. And then the pupil. Iris and pupil is there. Then we can go side to side. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be there. This is where I can double check. No, I'm way off on that. So what? The corner of the eye is here. Yeah. Corner of the eye. It's the other corner of the eye. That's right. So if I use this, yeah, it's just a little bit. This is all shadowed anyways. And then from here to here it's getting a little hard to handle this. And we'll just double check the bottom. And double check this one. Double check the height. And then, if you really want to be precise, the width of the iris and pupil. Okay. And we also have the nose, bottom of the nose. So let's see if how accurate I can be here. Now take your time doing this. I'm going a little bit faster than I should because I'm so limited on time. And yep, I was bang on. I'm so limited on time. Bang on. Okay, so this is the bottom, and the nostrils come up this way. Like I said, you can freehand whatever you want. And then straight down where the corner of the eye is the shadow part right here. And this part here is right at the brow bone. So if we come in, so the highlight on the eye comes here, and then it goes like that. Okay, now let's go to the inside of the nose. I can barely make out the mouth. I can barely make that out. That's the side of the fabric. The fabric is a little bit more forgiving. Side of his face. So it looks like it's coming down like that. So the bottom of the fabric here. And I think this is his chin. Lower lip. Middle. And the upper lip. Now again, it's very, very hard to see. We're not going to make things up. We're going to just draw what we actually see. Next to the nose, the nostril, it's where the shadow starts. And goes right down to the side of his lips. So the actual face that's visible is only this much. So that's where the nostril is. Yep, that's at the right spot. That goes right to here. Yes, you can't see most of it. Then he's got his brow, very, very dark here. And that's a shadow, that's not the nostril there. And from the bottom of his nose to the top of his head, right there. All I'm doing is the visible part of the face that's not in shadow. Then from the top of the head to the top of the fabric is this here. This is all in shadow. Then you can measure from the outside edge of the head to the inside fabric, then to the outside fabric. Okay. It's all about contours. Very similar to how we were working with the shapes in our sketch. We're just looking for contours. This is just another way. If you didn't want to do sketches, but you wanted something relatively accurate, and this is relatively easy here. Bottom of the nose, bottom of the chin, just going to double check, yep. Bottom of the nose, that's the fabric. So there's a piece of fabric here. Side of the face. And then it gets smaller by the eye. There we go. Okay. Then we have the side. Then we have this piece here. And at the corner. Yep, bang on. And that goes into shadow. There's a big crease here. Okay. double check the width of the eyes. Bang on. In between is a little bit hard because it's hard to see where the eyes are. Now, what a good measurement is, one width of the eye is also the width of between the eyes. It's a little bit off there. He's turned, and I think it's because I got a little bit of dark paint here. So width, width, width. So if we go width, width, width. This side's a little bit, there we go. And this is all broody. Let's get the corner of the eye to the top of the head, double check. It comes down a little bit. There we go. So we're gonna use that as our base here. And I misted the paints because it was really getting hot. Alright. I'm going to start with a Filbert. I do almost all of my portraits using Filberts, and we have some cracks in here. So let's take a look. Well, I immediately see something raw umber with a little bit of green. Take a little bit of phthalo blue and a little bit of yellow oxide, and take a look. That's too green. That's still too green. The phthalo blue really knocked it down. And I'm going to take a little bit of burnt sienna. There we go. And it's still a little bit green. There we go. Just picked up a bit of burnt sienna. So just mask that in. Now I would usually do the darks first, but because this whole piece is very dark. Now I also did a hit of green there, if you can see. But that's fine. Just want to get that base established. So a little raw umber, burnt sienna. This is very warm here. There's going to be more burnt sienna here. I'm going to hit that with a little bit of orange as well. Now when it comes to the fabric, I like picking up alternate colors every time I pick up paint. This is very brown here. A little bit of white. A little bit of extender. Oops, that's way too red. There we go. So you see, I'm not fussing. It's just expressive strokes, but on a canvas. Oh my God, this would be so easy to do. So you just keep it loose. Take a little bit of burnt sienna on the dirty brush there. You're going to take a little bit of orange into that mix. Oh, I can hear thunder. So you don't have to fuss so much. Just be free and have fun. Now I'm going to put this brush right here, and I'm going to get the smaller brush, and I'm going to go, I think I need to make up some more of that dark, but I think I'm going to just take raw umber with a little bit of phthalo blue. Yeah, that works. More raw umber, a speck of phthalo blue. Just hit it with a little bit of orange, just to warm it up a little bit. There we go. Think. I need more of this. Oh, I better order some more paint. I'm going to put down a little bit of alizarin crimson. Alizarin crimson and phthalo green makes an amazing black, as you saw. This brush. There we go. Now the color of his face is going to be very similar to this color up here. I'm going to go right over the fabric because then I can take the fabric and paint it right back on top. And ideally I would like to try to not let this dry. Oh boy, can you hear that thunder? And see with the soapstone pencil, it comes off so easy. And I'm going to take the other brush because there's a little bit of fabric here. And if you do this wet on wet, it's just like working with oils. In the bottom of the chin here, it's very dark right under here. And there is some fabric right here. Okay. And now I can, with the texture of the paper, the board, now I can just drag. The brush over. I think I'm going to have to go close the windows. Let's see if I can get some of this in first. A bit more raw umber into that existing mix. A little bit of yellow in there. And I'm only going to paint the light parts. And then I'm going to pick up just a little bit of the dark here on that dirty brush. Dirty brush plus that dark. And then we end up going for the mid-tone. Now it gets a little bit darker here. And we need to have a blend here where the shadows mix into the dark. And this is dark here. Can you guys hear that? Ooh. And then here. Now the mouth, I can barely see it, so I'm just going to put an indication. I'm just putting an indication. Oh, this is amazing. Oh, I love this. I'm going to try, I hope I can get this done before it starts to really team down because I'm on such a groove right now. I need a really small Filbert and I don't have one. I have really good brushes for my portraits, but I don't want to use it on this because it's because of the texture. I don't want to ruin my brushes. Very dark, very, very dark. This is actually almost black. Well, his pupils are black. And it comes out here. This is his brow bone. And Actually, his eye comes down like this. I can still do a little bit of correction. And this comes in a little bit more. All right. With the extender, you can use your paints very much like oils. There's actually a formula where you mix extender into the paints, and over a week you keep stirring, stirring, stirring it, and eventually all the water evaporates. And then you have something very similar to oils. Okay. I'm going to have to go to a smaller brush. This is beautiful. And just a little bit of dark here. It's not as bright here. But here, it's very bright. Well, not very bright, but very light. I'm still working with contours right now. I'm going to have to make up some more paint. Raw umber, a little bit of phthalo blue, a little bit of alizarin crimson, and a little bit of orange. The paint started to tack up now, so I'm going to have to stop and let it dry. The last thing you want to do is paint over a tacky film, because what will happen is that your paint will lift up. And an actual portrait for me would take months. Oh, not, sorry, no. A full-size portrait could take months if it was done in oils, when you've got the drying time coming into play. When you've got something like this being done in just a couple of hours, that thunder's scaring me. Trying to do this in just a couple of hours, you have to make some sacrifices. Look at shapes. Now I've got a massive, look at the cracks. So that's having to work with that. Try not to think about it as an obstacle, but as a challenge, or an opportunity to make this look really old. And I'm working with the biggest brush that I can stand, because that stops you from piddling and piddling and piddling. So I'm going to go to a little round Taklon brush. And these eyes, I'm just going to take the highlight color, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of white, and right in there. That's a little bit bright, but acrylics dry darker. So I'll wait for that to take place, and I put my brush in the water, darn. Take some more of that dark mix. It's dark right there. Whoopsie. Come on. Brush hair. And see, this looks funny, but it's a crack. See? Now the eyes are starting to deepen up a little bit. So I'm going to take a little bit of alizarin crimson and phthalo green, if I have any left, which I don't, so I'll just hit it with a little bit of raw umber. The pupils look, these, oh no, I can't use this. This is red. This is very red. I don't mind being expressive, but no. Now what's making this extra challenging is that there isn't any whites, sorry, a highlight in the eye. Makes it very, very challenging. So I'm using the pupil color. Again, a big round brush. That crack is really driving me crazy. It is driving me crazy. All right. And then, let's see if I can do this with this brush. Oh no, it's a little bit more orange than that. A little bit of yellow ochre, yellow oxide. Let's see. This painting on this type of surface for what I'm doing is very hard on the brushes. Again, don't use your expensive brushes for this. And I'm actually going to switch that back. I'm going to go to a tiny little bristle bright, so then I can dry brush. And knock that back a little bit. And the round part of the nose is a lot bigger. I made it quite small. That's giving me a problem. That here. That's giving me quite the problem. Now the lower lip, a little bit of a, there's another crack right here. Okay, I'm gonna go a little Filbert. Let's see if I can glaze something here. His lips are very, very full. And this is shadow underneath his lip. Now that looks funny right now, you gotta let it dry. Okay, I gotta get rid of some of that white there in the eye. There we go. And this one's a little bright. I'm just gonna tap over just to knock it down a little bit. And I have to move the lip over down here a little bit more. And take that yellow ochre mixture right in the bottom lip there. And I can't get the lip straight because this darn crack. Okay, camera's having a hard time focusing. Let's see. Just gonna fill this in as I see it. Bring that down a little bit. I'm going to not so much put a highlight in there, but I'm just going to refine the shape a little bit here. I love the broodiness of this eye though. Absolutely love it. And then there's a dark line here. Boy, does that crack really. And so now it's just refining everything. So the base mixture for the face, you want to have a lot of that made up. Because between that and the dark, as we detail, you'll mix the two together right on the painting. Yeah, there's no way I'm going to be able to. The actual curve of the nose is right here, and that's my fault. I should have actually measured first to get the placement of the nose. So his nose is really not going to be the proper size, because it's supposed to be, it's right on the crack, and it just makes it look funny. Well, we work with the cards we were given, right? And I'm going to hit that. Now, this is where I always tend to have trouble, is when I want to hit things with a highlight, and sometimes I find that I overdo it with the highlight, and only because, especially with acrylics, you got to wait for it to dry. You got to wait for it to dry. Okay. And I think we're pretty close to being done, except I want to do a bit of, if I can find a brush to use. Oh, that's way too big. Silly me. Dirty brush right into the mix here. Focus, focus, focus. Here we go. It's really having a hard time focusing. Holy smokes. If I leave my hand there. There we go. Alright. I'm going to now do the final accents at the top. And if I take a little bit of yellow ochre and burnt sienna, a speck of white. It is quite intense, but I want to hit that with that light. Let the texture grab the paint. Virtually no pressure. I mean, I can just do it like this and just let the surface grab everything. Grab a little bit more burnt sienna. That should have stayed dark, actually. There we go. And I'm just going to there's some areas here with a lot of fold in the fabric. Re-emphasize that. And this is a crease in there, so that's definitely dark. All right. And oopsie, that didn't really belong there. His face just disappears. There's another crease right here which is causing me some grief. That the light that's hitting it makes it look like a reflection. It's not. More raw umber, a bit of phthalo blue. And I believe I'm finished. The only thing left I want to do, I'm going to grab a tiny brush and I'm going to refine that light. And then redo the pupil. Let's see. Just got a little bit of an angle. I just got to get the iris and everything round. Let that dry before it get the light in there. Okay, let me hit this with the heat gun. Not too bad for the amount of time I had. So I dried it, and you can see now it's not too much of a shine left on it. Very, very thick. So what you can do at this point is you can continue on to work on this, and given more time, I'd refine a lot of the shadows in here, because if you take a look at the actual painting, there is not that much of a value difference right here, but it's just a little bit light in here. On top of that, I'm not replicating all these palette knife and brush marks that are in this one here. Okay, if you wanted to do that on this one, what you can do is use the texture, probably the texture fine is fine, and you put a whole coat on that. Then you take a big brush and then you just brush, or use a comb tool, something like that, and just very lightly go over like this, and you'll get all those nice lines. You can also do that with gesso. Okay, and that's really all there is to it. And I'm just gonna, a little burnt sienna, orange. This brush is way too big for what I want to do. And I'm just dragging my brush to get more texture. There we go. There's a little bit of orange showing there. There was a little divot in here. Alright, so that's it, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this. I really hope you're going to give it a shot. And oh, look at that. Whoopsie. really rub that in. That'll fit in fine. I really hope that you give this a shot and see what you can come up with. Again, like I'll include the actual painting that I did, and then you can give it a try to see what you can come up with. Just have fun, and remember, it's just art. So if you have a painting you don't like, why not try painting this right on top of that? That way you can upcycle your artwork and see what you can come up with. So there we are. Gonna let this dry for quite a bit before putting it in the journal. Well, I missed a spot there, but really happy with it. So join me for the next Doug 2014 project, and until then, stay inspired.